Sup? So I got a movie for you tonight, as I tend to with these episodes, because that's what they're about. And the movie is called Hoodwitch. It's premiered on Shudder. Well, it premiered at a film festival 2 years ago, but it premiered on Shudder February 26th, and I watched it today with no trailer, nothing, just jumped right in. You know how I do. It's mostly usually with Shudder, because I feel like Shudder is just such a good place to go if you want to be surprised, whether negatively or positively, but nonetheless, like, it's Shudder. So I watched Hoodwitch today, and this movie, I was on board for the first 2 acts wholeheartedly, and then the third act, that's a different story. But before I get into all that shit, Hoodwitch follows a woman who practices witchcraft, and she has her son with full custody of her son. Her ex-husband is a piece of shit who is abusive and is also very late on child support almost every month. But he never misses an opportunity to tell her what she's doing wrong, and he's just an all-around piece of shit. She decides to start an app that could earn her extra money. So this app connects people who have real problems with healers that can provide solutions to those problems. And something tragic happens to one of her clients, and she is immediately blamed for it, and thus begins a modern-day witch hunt. Everyone wants her dead. They want her to pay for what she's done because they believe she is responsible. And all it took was one man going, "She did it! That bitch did it!" And then it took a couple other people with cell phones to go live and go, "Look at what this bitch did! Go get her!" And the whole movie's a chase scene. It is a modern-day witch hunt. So I was on board, very much so. Like, going in with no trailer, I was like, oh my god, I like this a lot. This is basically a modern day spin on a witch hunt, but with the added I guess plot device that now we have technology. Now that's an interesting commentary in itself, that it took these people probably less time than it took in the 1400s, in the 1500s, 1600s, and late 1700s to start witch hunts, because we have phones now. Like, it took people no time to just... That's it, because we have phones and we can live stream. I just thought that was so interesting that now it kind of served as a commentary that really, even though we're more sophisticated than we used to be, 500 years ago, some things just never fucking change. And it took almost nothing to take us back to that primitive state of mind. It's not like that primitive state of mind is ever gone. It's just now, instead of just like hunting people and filleting them and hunting them immediately, we roast them on the internet. Once that starts happening, the movie just kind of kicks off for the first 2 acts, and it's a chase scene. These people give no fucks. These people in this side of France make people in New York look like plushmallows. Their response time was insane. They go far above and beyond just running her down the street. The chase sequences here are very prolonged, and I mean, they even try to burn down her apartment. She is pushed to her absolute physical limits to try and survive the night. And I think that was just, the first 2 acts of this were genuinely exhilarating. But somewhere along the road, I was sort of realizing that for all the commentary it presents, we're probably not going to have the time to touch on any of it. And I thought that was kind of a shame, because it's not a straight up horror movie. It's the most grounded version of a witch hunt you could have without actual witches. And on occasion, the movie kind of has you question, like, how real are these things? But you can tell pretty early on that the movie's real answer to it is, these things are as real as you allow them to be, and as much as you want to believe. So you know that there's most likely not going to be any supernatural elements on this, even if it tries to play coy with some of the nuances. It's just not going to go there. So there's no real horror. It is pretty intense. But then I figured that the horror would be in its commentary. And the horror commentary is just very... It's kind of like presented to you and then let go. It's like we stop to let you know we understand the commentaries there, and then we pop off with the next sort of chase sequence down, whatever creepy subway or whatever next location we're gonna have. There are some good character dynamics that I really enjoyed. Her ex-husband is a piece of shit. He will go above and beyond to make sure that he gets his way. He's very much a narcissist. What's interesting is that he always criticized her for practicing witchcraft freely, but a lot of the healing practices that she does, he practices as a Muslim. The only difference is that where he practices, it's in a clinic, so it's an organized, legitimate version of what she's doing already. And so we have this, there's this slight commentary of like self-practice and belief against organized faith and religion, which is obviously the whole thing it's trying to argue here. It's that. He's going out of his way to try to get his son away from her, and he even indulges in this and pushes this forward, and his church gets involved in pushing, his clinic gets involved in pushing this agenda that's happening live on everybody's phone feed to chase her. Like, so he's also a hypocrite. So he's a clear villain in the story, but a lot of the things that she does are kind of reckless and dangerous as well, even before all this shit happens. So even though she is not bad at all, she is reckless. And for a mom who has a kid, it's like, well, are you trying to say that she's right and he's wrong? Or are you saying that be cautious of choose first for yourself, because there's black and white to both sides? I don't think that the distinction was clear enough for me to go like, oh, I see what you're saying. But especially if the film is about sort of fighting the patriarchy, which is fine, but the distinction was really that he's worse than she is. She's a little reckless for someone who has a kid, but it's clear that she is not the villain at all. It was just something that I noticed in terms of it. Would they have fleshed that out more if they just had maybe like 20 minutes more of runtime? Because the end barrels down to moments of like intense violence, not intense, but like violence that you hadn't seen early on to really build up the climax, but it doesn't really go anywhere, and there's a little bit of ambiguity there that I feel like, and I love ambiguity in films so much. I think when movies leave things for people to discuss, that's the real power of like a good film, is that you can discuss it no matter how it makes you feel. So I love ambiguity, but I feel like it was trying to make a point, and I don't think the ambiguity was on purpose. Regardless, I think there's a lot to enjoy in this movie, especially the witch trial, the witch hunt element of it. It's just cool to see like in a modern day movie. I love the mom. I think she is so likable, and she's, even if she's like a little reckless, she's so likable, and her relationship with her son is more like brother and sister, which I feel is probably for me what parenting would be like. I think that is so much more, I don't know, it's just easygoing, and I loved watching him look at his mom with these eyes of like, and I really love you and I love what you're doing. It was just a very sweet dynamic. I love them. They're my favorite part of the movie. I really wish they would have dug a little bit more into the similarities between like what she's doing on her own time and what the ex-husband is doing on his time at the clinic. I thought that would have been some of the best stuff to really build out the commentary a little bit more, because he's basically doing what she's doing, but everyone obviously in the clinic is part of the hierarchy, if you will. They're all, they're Muslim. So it is part of the faith, it is part of the practice, and it's looked at a certain way, but they're also being very reckless. And there's a very specific scene that I really liked where they show just how reckless they can also be, in the same way that she can be and is, being that it's her practice. And I guess in a lot of ways that's why they need her reckless, so they can see like, okay, well, yeah, she's reckless, she's kind of figuring this out on her own, she's learning her boundaries with the witchcraft shit. And then they're kind of doing the same thing, but it's okay over there. They're pushing the boundaries. She just needs a little bit of guidance. These guys are fully guided, they're professionals, yet somehow they're doing some shit that is ethically and morally wrong. So I thought that stuff was so fucking good, and I just didn't get enough of it. I was like, but I think that it's a good watch. Like, I genuinely think there's a good watch, and it just, if anything, just to see how ridiculous we all can be during a witch hunt. And the performances are solid, the chase sequences are pretty good, and I think if it weren't for that weak third act and a lack of denser commentary, like really dig into that shit, another 10-15 minutes, it would have been fucking... Nonetheless, I enjoyed this movie. So if any of this sounds relatively interesting to you, then you're probably the person to like this movie, because I liked it, even with some of my little nitpicks. So that's my movie for tonight. Tomorrow we've got Passengers. I'm very excited to see that. I know you guys are all very excited to also see that. My review will be up as soon as I get out of the theater. It starts at 10 tomorrow night, and I should be out. The review might be up at 2 in the morning for me, so Eastern time. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys for showing up to this review. Thank you guys for listening this far into the video and making it to the end. And we're almost at 1,000. 9 more, we're almost at 1,000. Anyway, thank you guys, I appreciate you, and as always, I will see you at the movies.